Welcome to Punky's Pro Wrestling. Sorry, I'm trying to straighten that out. This is Dark Side of the Ring, the original Sheik of Arabia, Ed Farhat. They interviewed RVD and Sabu, both trained by the Sheik, Dory Jr., although not very much, Jim Cornette, Abdullah the Butcher, and 2 of the Sheik's grandchildren. So, he was the first in wrestling to throw fire. His wife accompanied him to the ring as Princess Salima, and he was mean to her in character, you know. But actually, they had a very long life together. He kept his personal life very personal. He was a much loved grandfather and father. When Sabu was little, Terry, his father, was very abusive to his mother. If you're going to abuse someone, the last person in the world, you shouldn't abuse anybody, but the last person in the world you should abuse is the Sheik's little sister. He got his ass kicked on more than one occasion. He was so afraid of the Sheik he would hide under the bed, okay? Good. I'm glad. But, yeah, so. And when Sabu came home, his father was hiding under the bed from the Sheik. Sabu decided he wanted to be just like that. Excuse me, it's allergy season. He made hardcore wrestling more popular, more mainstream. But Bull Curry created it in the 1940s. If he had dinner parties with all the wrestlers, he would make the baby faces sit at a table in one room and the heels sit at a table in another room. Which is hilarious nowadays, but fans tried to get to him. They tried to kill him, which I remember hearing Roddy Piper tell stories about that, about how nuts the fans were back then, how much they believed it, you know. The man tried to shoot him point blank, but the gun jammed, and he was arrested, and the officer tried to clear the gun, so he pulled the trigger to see why it didn't shoot, and it shot the bullet. So that was by the grace of God. Another guy came into the locker room and attacked him. Sheik pulled out a knife. I keep saying sheep. Sheik pulled out a knife and just sliced him. Big letter Z. Just sliced him. And they explained it away. But hey, he was self-defense. He bought Big Time Wrestling out of Detroit. And they were out of Cobo Hall, of course. His wife was his life and business partner. She helped run things behind the scenes. They were very much a team. 1 year in the 70s, I think Jim Cornette said it was 74, his tax reported income was $400,000. Jim Cornette said, that's $2 million today. He said, and the thing is, that's just reported, because wrestling was a cash business back then. So. And the Sheik was very cognizant of the racism during the time period which he wrestled and the segregation. And he hated it. Being a first-generation Arab American, being Lebanese, he felt it. And one time he was wrestling somewhere in the South, and they would put the black people up in the nosebleeds with chicken wire in front of them like they were prisoners or something. And he climbed up the chicken wire and pulled it down and allowed them to integrate. Nobody was going to argue with the Sheik. I think that's awesome. And in Detroit, they were having some terrible riots at one point in the 60s. I think it was 68. Jim Cornette said. Jim Cornette's the big historian, so he knows all this stuff. And one of the Sheik's longtime rivals was a very popular African-American wrestler called Bobo Brazil. And he said to Bobo, look, things are out of control. We need to bring the people together. So I'll do a job for you, which he hardly ever did. Because he ran the company, he ran Cobo Hall. He didn't have to. But he wanted to do that for Bobo, to do that for the black fans. Everything calmed down after he did that. A few weeks later, Bobo lost to him. That's the way it goes. Big Ten Wrestling ended in late 1980 after he lost his TV deal in Detroit. He went to Japan, and they loved him and his style. He came back to the U.S. wrestling, but was in his 60s by then. This was not good at all. All through the years, his wife Joyce, Princess Salima, stayed by his side. Their granddaughter describes them as loving grandparents. The Sheik had one last rather disastrous match in FMW in Japan, where he tag teamed with Sabu against Oneida, and they didn't say who the other wrestler was. Sabu and the other wrestler managed to escape the ring, but it took the Sheik and Oneida longer. And Oneida talked to the Sheik. And the Sheik's like, I didn't know he spoke English, but I know it meant something bad. They were outside in a baseball stadium, and they had done a practice run because they were doing a match, barbed wire with the certain parts of the ring, certain parts of the rope area, wrapped in linen, soaked in kerosene, and they had lit it on fire. And the practice run went fine, but the wind made the fire much, much worse. And all of a sudden, they're stuck in the very center of the ring, where there was the most oxygen, because the fire was just eating the oxygen in the ring. And like I said, Sabu and whoever he was fighting with escaped, and Sheik and Oneida was still in the ring. And Oneida said, we gotta get out. And like I said, Sheik was shocked. Oh, God, he speaks English. And so they did finally make it out. I mean, literally the logo on the mat was melting, is what Sabu said. It was absolutely horrifying. And they're like, Sabu picked up water from somewhere and threw it at his uncle. What are you doing? He said, you're smoking. And so they got him wrapped up. They got him on the plane with 20% of his body covered in third-degree burns. Which the first-class passengers did not appreciate because the burning flesh smelled. And there was skin hanging off in places. And he went home. His wife took care of him. He got better. So, like I said, when they were in the ring, they found themselves not able to breathe and not able to see. So, his last appearance was at ringside at a WCW pay-per-view that Sabu wrestled at. Unfortunately, an accident happened. Sabu did one of his flying moves onto his opponent. Unfortunately, Uncle Sheik was a little too close and his leg got caught and snapped because he was an old man. He said, he never complained. We went back to the back and he's like, and I got him a wheelchair and he came to his granddaughter's school on Grandparents' Day after he retired and was focusing more on his family. And all the parents, all the grandparents knew who he was. They recognized him. Like, we want autographs. And he's like, Allah, Allah. Because that was his thing. And they were all like, yeah, And he's an icon by then. And so, yeah, his granddaughter had quite a Grandparents' Day at school. He died in 2003, surrounded by love. Next week is Daphne the Scream Queen. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm trying not to wipe off my lipstick or smudge it across my face. I am going to do a Kid Missing show. And I'm pretty much ready to go for my appointment. So. Bye, guys. God bless you.